Coming up on Eyewitness News Nightwatch, a KKK march draws opposition along the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Louisiana lawmakers prepare for a second crucial week in a session to overhaul the state's tax system. And New Orleanians savor what may be the swan song of a major sporting event.
Eyewitness News Nightwatch is next.
WWL-TV Channel 4, New Orleans. John Snell, Judy Storch, Chris Myers, and meteorologist Brian Durst. Louisiana's news leader, Channel 4's Eyewitness News Nightwatch.
Good evening. Tempers flared and some arrests were made as a Ku Klux Klan rally today made its way across the Mississippi Gulf Coast. About 24 Klansmen marched through Bay St. Louis and Gulfport on what they called a recruiting mission. Neither city rolled out the welcome mat. Officials reluctantly issued the group permits. As Dana Howard reports, anti-Klan protesters showed up in force.
What do we want? White power in America! When do we want it? Right now! Who are we? KKK!
It's a message officials in Bay St. Louis didn't want to hear. So marching Klansmen were put in what some call their proper place, a small off-street with a small audience.
I don't give a damn what they think. The people welcome us here. I've been in quite a few stores. They love it.
At the end of the line, applications to join up were handed out. Richard Chris and his wife took one, not really being sure why.
What do you hope that they're going to really accomplish?
I don't know. I don't know. Couldn't say.
You just support whatever they believe in.
Right.
Some members who claimed to know didn't want to share that knowledge with us.
You didn't give us right to do nothing. Get out of my face. Get out of my face.
Still, residents like George Hall claim to know all too well.
How long before you wind up hating somebody because they're blue-eyed and born on Tuesday?
And when the Klan moved their rally here to Gulfport, they got a mixed reaction here, too. From those who want the Klan to leave town,
Go away, KKK!
to those who want it 6 feet under.
Get to the Klan! Now!
The white people, it's about time we stood up for our rights instead of letting the, whatever you want to call yourselves, get away with everything. And the white people not having their rights, and our rights are being infringed on every day by the government.
We're going to build a white organization in Mississippi of white men and white women to stand up against race mixing.
But protesters vow to block the Klan every step of the way.
Anytime the Klan comes here, it's wrong. It's wrong. And it should not be even permitted.
And it doesn't matter where it's at. This is wrong. It shouldn't be anywhere in the United States.
Both sides pay the price to exercise their constitutional rights. Some in bruised egos, others in a trip to jail for taking their protests too far. But nevertheless, they say what's most important is they were heard. Dana Howard, Eyewitness News, Nightwatch.
Police chiefs in both towns ordered every officer on their forces to stand duty today. There were no injuries.
The latest poll in the presidential race indicates the once Democratic South is leaning heavily Republican in 1988. An Atlanta Journal-Constitution survey gives George Bush a 12-point lead over Michael Dukakis among voters in 15 southern and border states. The vice president holds an even greater advantage in the South's two biggest electoral prizes, Texas and Florida. Bush campaigned today in a state crucial to the Democrats' hopes, Illinois. The vice president courted the ethnic vote in a Czechoslovakian parade near Chicago. Bush promised not to forget people in the Slavic community's homeland.
And none of us will ever forget that there is not freedom in Eastern Europe, and I am pledged as a president to never forget that.
Dukakis today rested up from the campaign trail, also practicing for this week's debate, but has scheduled a major blitz through the Midwest tomorrow.
An explosion and fire tore through an oil field waste site near Jennings, Louisiana early this morning. Authorities say workers were pumping a substance from one holding tank to another when fire broke out. The blaze triggered an explosion inside one of the tanks. One firefighter was slightly hurt battling the flames. Oil ministers in Libya are calling for an emergency meeting of OPEC to try to put the brakes on sliding world oil prices. Those prices fell last week to the lowest level since 1986. The benchmark U.S. crude price tumbled below $13 a barrel.
That could also mean problems for Louisiana's fragile economy and is already cause for concern in Baton Rouge. Lawmakers head back to the Capitol tomorrow to resume work on Buddy Roemer's tax rewrite. So far, the governor has won some and lost some. With oil prices headed into the cellar, Baton Rouge is bracing for another round of budget cuts.
At $13 a barrel, it's cheaper than a king-size pizza.
What's more, some analysts believe prices could fall even further. The governor insists oil's demise further demonstrates the need for tax reform. Week one of the special session brought Roemer a mixed bag.
Well, I think we've had a good week. Not perfect.
The major setback for the governor came in the Ways and Means Committee. Members okayed the proposed constitutional amendment, but not before they balked at Roemer's plan to prevent the deduction of federal income taxes on state forms. Even some tax reform disciples opposed that.
I'm just getting tired of all these Robin Hood schemes where we're going to go take money from everybody that lives in my district and spread it around the state. Not everybody that lives in my district, only a select few.
But that leaves the budget $170 million in the hole.
So it blows our balanced budget concept for the next 5 years out of the water. However, there are ways that can be made up, not as tastefully as we thought it could be.
The administration isn't saying how it will make up the difference or if it'll try to restore the original plan on the House floor.
So I think you'll see, if you will, round two upstairs. There's other concerns that we want to address.
For one thing, opponents vow another showdown this week over the homestead exemption. The governor wants to lower the exemption to $25,000 on new or renewed millages. Jefferson assessor Lawrence Shahardy.
I don't think the voters of the state will support it the way it stands right now.
Roemer, who early on talked of shutting down the session, now says lawmakers have earned another week in Baton Rouge. The session must end by October 25th.
Still ahead on Nightwatch, violent protests in two nations over the soaring cost of living.
And what could be goodbye to a major sporting event.